Hello, my fellow Christian fiction lovers. Welcome to another video. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you five five-star predictions. Basically, the concept of this video is very self-explanatory. I'm going to be talking about 5 different books that I think will be 5 stars. And I've been thinking for a while, like, oh, this is a great video idea, like, not too hard. Well, when I actually sat down to pick out the books, I started having some difficulty because I don't really think of books in terms of like, am I going to rate this 5 stars? Hey, Dolce, you don't want to stay up here? So I guess basically what I'm saying is like when I buy books, like I do think like, oh, I'm going to enjoy these books. And some books I do think like I'm going to enjoy this book more than another book, but it was difficult for me to think like, do I actually think I'm going to give this book 5 stars? But after looking at my TBR long enough, I did pick out 5. So let's go ahead and talk about them. So the first book I don't own physically yet, but obviously we're working on that. And that is Between the Sound and Sea by Amanda Cox. I happen to really, really like Amanda Cox. I have read 3 of her books now and thoroughly enjoyed all of them. I gave her debut novel, The Edge of Belonging, 5 stars, and I just absolutely adore that book. And the other ones that I've read, I've also really, really enjoyed. So, Between the Sound and Sea, I reread the description right before filming, but I might botch it a little bit. So basically, that one is about a woman who somehow she ends up at a lighthouse. I can't remember exactly what the description like says how she gets there, and she finds these journal entries from a former lighthouse keeper about the lighthouse, but she cannot find a record of that person actually ever keeping the lighthouse. And so it's kind of like a little mystery. I'm guessing, there's going to be like a mystery of how is this person connected? And then also something that I really love about Amanda Cox's books is whatever if they're typically time split. The 3 I've read have all been time split. But the main character in the present time is going through something in their own life, something very personal and deep, typically, that is challenging and struggling. And through uncovering something from the past, it helps them like work through and process some of the like trauma that they've been through. One of the books, the present day main character had been through like a significant trauma in the previous year, and she just found a lot of healing through some of the things that she was learning and uncovering. So really love her writing style. I love how she tells stories and just reveals certain things at certain times. So I could see that book definitely being a 5 star. So the next book I have is Ladies of the Lake by Cathy Gohlke. I've read a number of Cathy Gohlke books, and the last one I read is called This Promised Land, and I loved that book. It was so good, so different from other things I have read by her in the fact that it was not a wartime story, because I've read 3 of her wartime novels. But anyway, I really liked that one, and I love the premise of this. It is about 4 young women who met at like a boarding school. Yeah, they meet at an all girls school, and then years later something happens and they like sort of reunite. Yeah, well, something happens while they're in school to like cause them to kind of break up the friend group a little bit, but now 17 years later there's some sort of a reunion. Now, mind you, I have not read this book, so please don't come for me if I'm getting it completely wrong. I am hoping to read this book this summer because it feels like such a summertime read. Like there's something just like Ladies of the Lake, like I don't know, feels so summery. It's also kind of like a little shorter, so it seems like it would be easy to get through, but I love a good story about sisterhood and friendship. I love a good like generational story, 17 years later, probably some of them have kids. So I definitely see this book being could potentially be a 5 star for sure. All right, and then next we have A Beautiful Disguise by Roseanna M. White. And this is the first book in the Imposters series. I think there's either 2 or 3 in this series. Um, but yes, this is the first one now. I love Roseanna M. White. This is not a new tidbit about me. This has been well established on this channel that I love Roseanna M. White and I want to read her to zero. Like I want to read everything that she's ever written. Her 2 series that I've devoured. Hold on, let me take care of the dog. Okay, she might be back at some point, but I've read 2 series by Roseanna M. White. I've talked about them a lot on this channel or plenty of times before. Um, and I think this book, just the premise of it sounds so good. I can't remember everything exactly, but basically this Lady Marigold Fairfax, she is a lady in society and something happens that leaves her bankrupt, and so she hires this like private investigating company to, I guess, figure out what's going on. And then the other POV is a man in the investigative company. And I'm sure there might be a romance between them. But it just like the mystery intrigue side of it sounds really cool. And that's something that in some of her other books has definitely been like mystery and intrigue, but been it hasn't been like the main thing, or it's kind of like been there and then it will like the like last little bit of the book will kind of like really focus on it and there'll be like a lot of drama surrounding it, whereas this one sounds like it's going to be more like woven throughout the entire story, considering that it's all about this like investigative agency. Yeah. And it's historical, which, makes everything better for me. When is it set? It's set in 1909, so a little bit before the start of World War One. I think it sounds awesome. Um, I'm really hoping that I love it. I'm hoping that I, will give it a 5 star, and that I'll continue the series because, yeah, we love Rosanna M. White over here. We love her so much. Okay, swinging in the opposite direction. Next, I have Lowcountry Lost by T.I. Lowe. I also love T.I. Lowe and want to read her to zero. I've read 3 or 4 of her books now. I think I've read 4 of them, and I've given 3 of them 5 stars. So, yeah, I just love the way that she writes about mental health, about trauma. She writes contemporary in a way that I appreciate it. I'm not always the biggest contemporary fiction fan, but I like the way she does it. This book, do I remember entirely what it's about? No. But I seem to remember it has something to do with this girl who's like trying to fix something up. Yeah, she like fixes up properties and she ends up going to this like town that's like in the middle of nowhere trying to like fix something up. And she runs into her ex. So I'm guessing it's a second chance romance vibes. This one to me is giving more of like chill, like not so much trauma. But then again, you never know because I hear people talking about her books, like books that I've read by her, like they're like just fun little summer romances. And I'm like, no, they're not. So the description could be kind of like fooling me, but I definitely have high expectations for this book, high hopes that it is going to be good. And I also got it hardcover for like $5. And that's a win. That is such a win. So, yeah, hopefully, I'm hoping to read this in the next few weeks. We'll see. Stick around. Stick around and watch the summer reading vlogs coming out every Tuesday this summer, where I share all my summer reads. Uh, Shameless plug for my channel. Okay, and then finally, the fifth book that I predict might be a 5 star is The Codebreaker's Daughter by Amy Lynn Green. I've been veering more away from wartime fiction just because I got a little burnt out on it. I used to read like nothing but wartime fiction, and especially World War II. So I've been away from it. But I read Things We Cannot Say by Amy Lynn Green earlier this year. Loved it. I loved that book. I rated it 4.5 stars, but I put it as 5 stars on Goodreads. It would have been a 5 stars. There were just like a very few minor things that I wanted different, and I do think should have been different. And that's my thing, is like, if in the book I think like, oh, this should have been different, and like it could have been, and the story still would have been spectacular, that's when I'm a little more able to like dock points for it. Whereas if I can read a story and I don't like something, but I see why it has to happen that way, I won't dock points for it. Does that make sense? Um, Great. Awesome. Moving on. The Codebreaker's Daughter. So I heard Jeanette over at Jane Reads talk about this book, probably, I guess, when she was doing a wrap up of some sort. But the way that she described it made it sound so good. It's like mother daughter something or other. Like the mom she works in espionage and spy stuff during World War One, and then her daughter also is working in like espionage during World War Two. And I think I remember it's like the daughter doesn't know that her mom also did spy work, and so she kind of like is finding stuff out about that, and it's maybe like a bonding thing for them. I love a good mother daughter story. Anything relational, like family or friendship relational, I really enjoy. Like, I do love romance. Don't get me wrong, I love a romance, but like I also love rich relational stories. So, okay, I got cut off, but we're back. Anyway, I think the last thing I was saying is I don't know when I'm going to get around to reading this book, but hopefully soon. I mean, that's what I say for all of them. But anyway, those are the 5 books on my TBR that I think could be 5 stars. So definitely stick around to see if they are. Maybe I'll do a follow-up video to this one once I've read all 5 of them to see like, were they actually 5 stars, you know? But also like, I'm not gonna withhold my ratings. Like, I'll still do reviews on them if they're in vlogs and all of that stuff, and like tell you my thoughts and stuff. So let me know if you've read any of these books, if they were 5 stars for you, if you think they could be 5 stars, all the things. Let's chat about it in the comments. But thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, don't forget to give it a like. And if you want to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in a video very soon. Bye!